We do the Difference Maker series because we know that each and every one of you can be a difference maker. That every day when you go out into the world, you make a difference. And we are introducing you to some people who are making differences in amazing ways because we expect a lot of you to do the same thing one day. Our first difference maker of the school year is Robert Egger. He's the founder and president of an organization called the LA Kitchen. Mr. Egger's life for the last 30 years has been all about reducing waste and improving lives. He saw good food going to waste, people without jobs, and people going hungry. He wanted to make a difference, so he decided to tackle all three problems at once and came up with an amazing solution. Please help me welcome Robert Egger.
Thank you. Hello, what a big old giant honor. Thank you very, very much, and what a beautiful school you have. And I want to dedicate my talk today to all the students who were wigglers, because I was a wiggler in school. I was the kid who wiggled all the time, who the teacher would say, Robert Egger, quit wiggling. And oftentimes when speakers would talk, I would be the one looking around, dreaming. And my teachers would say, Robert Egger, quit dreaming. But you know what? Dreaming is what makes us who we are. Dreaming is, it's like that idea when you're a kid, when you're young, and you think, someday I'm going to grow up. And it might seem a million years away, but you start to think about, what kind of person do I want to be? What do I want to do with my life? And as a little kid, I was always dreaming about, what was I going to be when I grew up? And I used to love when speakers came to speak at school because it was a sense of like, wow, they lead an interesting life. I wonder if I could do that. But anyway, I was a dreamer. But I dreamed of, wouldn't it be nice to make the world a better place to live? But how could I do that? I'm just one person, you know? How could I make the difference in the world? And to be honest with you, I worked and did like a lot of people did. I kind of went through life waiting for that moment where I'd find something that made me really excited about what I was doing. But you know what? Over the years, I found a lot of things that interested me. Like, how many of you all have celebrated Earth Day? Right? I was in 6th grade in the very first Earth Day. And I was so intrigued by Earth Day. Earth Day really excited me. It was that idea of like, wow, shouldn't we make sure that the world is a better place for the next generation of people coming along? And that really came in handy because years later, I became really intrigued by the idea of food, but more importantly, how much food we throw away. Now, I ran restaurants and nightclubs when I was a younger man, when I was in my 20s. And I knew how much food we threw away every night, and it was something that we did all the time without thinking much about it. But one time, I went out in Washington, D.C. How many of you all have been to Washington, D.C.? Isn't it a great city? I grew up here in Southern California, but my dad was in the military, and we moved to Washington, D.C. And when I was young, I started seeing more and more people who were homeless. And I kept thinking, boy, this is bad. I feel so sorry for those people. Somebody should do something. But again, I kept thinking, well, I don't know what I could do. I'm one person. I work in a restaurant. But I decided I'd go volunteer. You know, and this is what's important in life, is that idea of going out into your community and saying, you know, I'm not going to sit by and just watch things happen anymore. I'm going to go do something about this. So I went out one night to volunteer. But you know what I was on the way out to volunteer to serve men and women who were homeless? I was scared because I kept thinking, what is it going to be like? What are homeless people like? They scared me. Like many people, because they were different and because I hadn't really been in a conversation, I thought I had an idea of what it would be like. And sometimes we judge people and food by the way it looks. And so I went out there one night thinking, well, I wonder what this is going to be like. And I was really nervous. And I asked somebody who was in the truck, hey, where'd the food come from tonight? I was just trying to make conversation. And I said, where's the food come from? And the person said, we bought it at this grocery store. And I thought, wow, okay, that's nice, but I work in a restaurant and they throw away food every single night and it's beautiful food. And I kept thinking about that. But then we ended up pulling up on this street in Washington and it was raining outside. And I was inside a big truck. You could actually stand up inside the truck, which was kind of cool because I've never been able to stand up in a car and drive while you're bouncing around. It felt like surfing. But I was standing there and we pulled up and there was this long line of people outside in the rain waiting for this truck to pull up. And it was kind of like this. I was standing there, and there was a line of people, just like the first graders here. And I thought, wow, look at that line of people, but it's raining outside. And I kept serving people, and they were trying to stay dry like this. And I kept looking at them thinking, wow, you know, they're buying food to give these men and women something to eat, but they're outside in the rain. We should do something about this. So, and one of the reasons I like talking to young people is because, you know what, I had an idea. And I was really excited. I had found something I was really excited about. So I went home, and kind of like you might have to write a report for school, I wrote a report saying, I have an idea. I know a way you can feed more people better food for less money. You know, if you go to the restaurants and the hotels and the colleges and the farmers and say, you throw away food all the time, would you like to not throw it away anymore? And the farmers and everybody said, yeah, I hate to throw away food. I love food. It makes me sad to throw away food, but I want to make sure that it's safe. And I thought, okay, but if we could find a safe way to get your food, would you give it to us? And they're like, sure, that would be great. It beats throwing it away. I don't want to throw away food. But what I also said is, you know, why don't you start a school? You know, why don't you start a cooking school? So in effect, the men and women who we were serving that night, because remember I told you how afraid I was when I went out? Well, the reality is I started having many conversations with people, and it's like, I kept thinking in the back of my head, Robert, you were kind of goofy to think that people were going to be different just because they were homeless. You know, a lot of these men and women, boy, they're really smart, they're really nice, they're funny. Why don't we try to start a program? I bet they could work in a kitchen along with me. So I said, let's start a school. We can take that food that would have been thrown away, and I brought some examples here. For example, you have to look at it up close. Who wants to help me here? Here, young man, come up here for a second. Here, you take this, no, you can just stand right here. You can take this mango and show your friends that mango. Well, come on up. Who just said that? You can come up. Who said I want to be in there? Come on up here, dude. See, this is what you do when you step up and say, I want to be part of something. So go show your, so look at that. There, see this right here? What's your name there? Presley. See, now look at what Presley's got there. Preston? Okay, well, cool. You're standing like Elvis Presley, so it works the same. But see, now look at what Preston's got here. Now, if you went to the grocery store, and I'm sorry, what's your name, young brother? Alex. Okay, and there's Alex, and let me get a young lady to come up here. Why don't you come up here and help me? You know? Look at that line. Okay, now wait, shh, everybody, shh. Now again, here you can walk around and show people those things. Just walk around and show people what I've given you. You can go ahead. But the idea was every day, yeah, just show people. Every day, see that mark on that mango? See that? No, Alex, show them the bruised part on the mango. See on where your hand is? Other side. Other side. See where that ugly part is? Yeah, see that? So if you see the lime there? Yeah, come on up. So I can't do everybody. Just here you go. So go show people that lime. And here, man, here, can you catch? Here you go. Okay. Now, everybody, real quick. Now, I just handed those out because I wanted you to see sometimes when you go to a store and you see things that are bruised, or if you see things that are banged up, oftentimes people think we eat with our mouth. We really eat with our eyeballs. And sometimes, well, so think about it. If somebody puts down something in front of you and it doesn't look good, what do you say? Ooh, right? You eat with your eyeballs. So sometimes we look at food, but pay attention to me for a second. Sometimes we look at people and we look at the outside and we only see the outside. Okay, everybody, I think we've done good now. There you go. Everybody got some? Okay, let's sit back down now and we'll finish up. Thank you, young brother. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Preston, you're the man. Thank you, dude. Alec, you're the man. Thank you. But the point is, okay, everybody, you listening? The point is, sometimes we go to the store and we see something with something that's got a bruise on it. We think, oh, I don't want that. That's rotten. Well, the reality is that's just the outside. So what I was saying when I was young and I had this idea is there's all this food and it's so good and it might not look good, but that just means you just have to take a knife and cut this part off. The rest of it's beautiful. But the same thing, I kept thinking, you know, I was one of those people that was so afraid of the homeless, but then I went out and I found that they weren't much different than I was. And the reality is sometimes, just like a mango, they might have a little bit of a bruise on the outside, but doesn't mean the inside's not good too. So I started a school, and it's called, at first it was the DC Central Kitchen. Now it's the Los Angeles Kitchen because this is where I grew up. And I wanted to come back to the place where I grew up and make it a better city. So I came back here because you know what's exciting about California, you all probably see it all the time. You know what we do here in California? We grow more fruits and vegetables than any place, anywhere else in the world. So I can come here and open a big kitchen and say to all the farmers, all the restaurant people, all the grocery store people, I can say, don't throw away that great food, give it to me. And I'll bring it to my big kitchen. And by the way, you can all come and visit and volunteer if you'd like at the LA Kitchen. It could be a great adventure for you. The entire school could come and hang out. I was telling the kindergartners, we have enough pots that we can make kindergarten soup. We could put 10 kindergartners in our pot. It's so big. But we make thousands of meals every day, oftentimes with food that would have been thrown away. But the best part is we have a cooking school, and we offer men and women who need a job a chance to come in and learn how to cook. And what they do is while they're learning how to hold a knife and not cut off their fingers and be good chefs, they learn how to cook by taking the vegetables and the fruits and the food that's donated and cutting it up, and we make beautiful, healthy meals every single day. It's a great place to live, I mean, a great place to work. And actually the whole idea is I really want to, when I eventually pass on, that's kind of a weird thing to say, but I want to know that I made the world a little bit better. But you know what? Sometimes we think that you got to do something big. And again, I started a big program and it feeds lots of people, but you know what? One of the fastest ways you can change the world is just being a nice person. You know, just being the kind of person who holds the door for someone else, or if you see somebody who's sad, instead of saying, boy, I feel bad for that person, actually walking over and saying, are you okay? You know, some of you are on Facebook, but you know one of my favorite things to do every single day? One of the first things I do, I get on Facebook in the morning and I can see whose birthday it is today. And every morning I start my day by saying, oh my goodness, happy birthday. What's better than that? But it's just the idea that you can send forth, you can be a nice person and send forth a little ripple. You know, there's a person I really loved when I was a kid, and his name was Robert Kennedy, and his brother was the president, John Kennedy. But he said once, every time somebody does something nice, they send forth a little ripple. And from a million different sources of people being nice, those ripples can become waves that can wash down the mightiest walls of oppression. So every single day while I go to work and try and make sure people get a really decent meal, and people don't have to throw away food, and people can get jobs, at the end of the day, though, what I'm trying to do is not so much feed people, is make sure people realize that there's someone who cares about them. Because, you know, imagine if you were old and alone, or homeless, or somebody who was just, you know, having a tough time, and somebody came and said, here's a beautiful meal. Doesn't it make you feel good when somebody gives you a good meal? When you go home at night and your mom or your dad has cooked a beautiful meal, doesn't that feel good? Well, I just want to do that for other people too and make sure everybody has a chance to feel good. So again, I really hope that you all will come and visit someday. If you're 11, you can come and actually work and help chop things up. If you're under 11, you can come and just take a tour and visit, and I can show you all the way around. We have a refrigerator that's almost as big as this room, and you can come and work there if you'd like. So anyway, that's what I do, and that's who I am. My name's Robert, and I know we have some questions, and I can hardly wait to hear some of them. So why don't we go right to questions. Thank you all very, very much for this opportunity to talk.